Hey guys, it's the end of the week, which means the 2 tournaments I played in are done. Let me tell you how I did. So if you didn't watch my previous video, I played 2 tournaments this past week, which I have expected to cruise through pretty easily, the same way I cruised through in my tournament in France, seeing as this tournament had players that are ranked lower than my true ranking. That being said, I did play a couple players that, like myself, are ranked much higher than their ranking suggested. The very first match I played in my first tournament was against Arnold. It was on last Saturday at 9 a.m. and he was ranked C30.4, which is a very low ranking, so I expected the match to be very easy and be done very quickly. That being said, again, he played much better than his ranking suggested, and I figured that out as soon as we started warming up. I knew I was in for a hard, grueling match, but I was ready for it. I went up 4-0 in the first set, and I was feeling very good. After those initial 4 games, my level dropped a little bit, and again, it wasn't fatigue, I wasn't tired, but I started feeling heavy. I felt like my legs were made out of lead. I felt like my racket weighed 2 kilos. And it was a little bit harder for me to win the points. I did end up winning that first set, but I won it 6-2. But again, like since I was up 4-0, those last 4 games were 2-2. And the second set was much of the same. I just felt heavy. I really don't know what it is. I've never felt that way when I was playing tennis. Right now, based on my schedule, all the exercises, the drills, the tennis I play are either in the late afternoon or evening. I've never done any exercise in the morning. I'm either on my computer doing some editing or research, or I'm taking care of my daughter. So I've never really been active in the morning, and this was a 9 a.m. match. It's possible that my body was just not ready to do that kind of intense exercise that early in the morning. That's the only thing I've come up with, because I did have a good breakfast. I did wake up a couple hours before my match, did my usual routine, warmed up well. I'm gonna have to figure something out that I can do, maybe start waking up in the mornings to do a little bit of exercise to kind of get my body used to it a little bit more, because I obviously don't want this to happen again. I do have footage for that match that I will be posting some highlights for in the next video, so stay tuned for that. My second tournament, I cruised through a lot easier. I went through the first few rounds very easily, kind of as I expected to in the beginning. I reached the quarterfinals, and it was an interesting case study because I never played with someone that was quite similarly to me in playing styles, and it definitely illuminated some issues in my game, some things that I'm definitely gonna have to work on. With the tools that I have at my disposal, I played amazing. I think my forehand and my backhand were super consistent. I was hitting the ball pretty aggressively. Obviously, I wasn't putting a lot of power. I was holding back a little bit, just kind of waiting for that shorter ball that I could really go for, that I could attack, put a little bit more angle, put a little bit more power in, and I was very happy with my performance. But despite that, I did end up losing the match. So again, it points to some areas in my game that I have to improve. For one, my serve, without a doubt, needs improvement. It's an area where I'm not getting any winners off of my serve. I get maybe 1 or 2 unforced errors from my opponent, but mostly my volleys. I did come up to the net, but right now, I feel like my net game is such a liability that it really has to be a great shot for me to feel comfortable approaching the net, that I feel like he's gonna barely be able to get to it, so I get a really easy put away. Anything less than that, I don't feel comfortable coming up to the net, and that made the rallies extremely long and grueling, because he didn't come up to the net very often too. So it was just a grind and a battle from the baseline, and neither of us were kind of putting everything behind our ground strokes. We were kind of trying to be a little bit more consistent. It's an interesting case study that I'm gonna have to dive a little bit deeper in. It's really unfortunate that I don't have the footage for that match, because it was a great match despite the loss. Again, I'm very happy with my performance, and really it was a fun match. It was a fun match to play, and I'm sure it would have been a fun match to watch. But unfortunately, I don't have the footage for that. The tournament didn't let me film it. But apart from that, I'm very happy with my overall performance now. Back to the drawing board, try to practice my volleys, try to improve my serves, and we'll keep playing tournaments and improving. All right, well, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you again very soon.